All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Card Talk. I'm Ryan, joined as always by Tyler and Lou. Today, we are going to talk about Game 7 in the NBA Finals, talk about the NHL Stanley Cup that's coming up. We've got a record sale for a Barry Bonds card. We're going to talk about a redemption scandal, per se, that made its rounds on social media this weekend. We'll get into that.
We love scandal.
We've got some questions. We've got play of the week. So we've got a lot to get into. But first, the usual. What we do every single week. We're going to start with what's on your mind. Ty's giggling. He looks like he's in a good mood. Vibes are high for Ty today on this fine Tuesday. So Ty, we'll start with you today.
Penn State got robbed in the men's lacrosse semifinals over the weekend. They went up toe-to-toe against the number one team, Duke. Penn State was unranked to start the year, kind of came out of nowhere. And in overtime of the semifinals at Lincoln Financial Field, there was a unfortunate goal by Duke. Stepped in the crease a little bit. No review. Ref comes in, says goal. All of a sudden we lose, even though we shouldn't have lost. We maybe would have lost fair and square, but tough way to bow out.
Should they have reviewed that? I don't understand.
I don't think there's no video review yet.
Okay.
There wasn't until this past weekend, and now there will be.
Got it. Okay.
30,000 people at the final yesterday.
That's cool.
Lincoln Financial.
I feel like the Final Four. What do they call the Final Four for lacrosse?
The Final Four. It's a Memorial Day weekend staple.
It's like, yeah, and then it's where the entire lacrosse community like converges on one city for 1 week.
For sure. And the community, the lacrosse world is kind of tight knit.
Yeah.
They and yes, it's like the weekend where it all comes to be. If Penn State made the game, there would have been more than 30,000 for sure. Philly, Penn State, the whole nine. There was a good crew there. But that was tough. Played some mediocre golf over the weekend. That was tough.
What's mediocre for Ty? Like
high
80?
80s. High 80s. And beautiful weekend. First weekend around in the last couple of years that it hasn't rained on Memorial Day weekend. Get my collection dialed in. Starting to think about national a little bit. V-Friends cards we were talking about a bunch over the weekend. I was hanging out in the Discord with some peeps.
Yeah, I got a text about that this weekend for the first time in a while.
Yeah, back in action.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just I feel like it's road to Natty now, which I'm excited about. And it's summer. It's officially summer. Birthday Friday. Just
Big
appreciate
birthday.
everyone tuning in. And yeah, not a long what's on my mind. Life's good. Waking up happy. Waking up feeling good, grateful. Get to hang with Ryan and Lou this morning. Monaco was this weekend. And away we go. Lewis was excited about his car. I think Spain is next. Monaco, he was like, look, you don't really get to fully let the car live in Monaco.
Yeah.
It was the first time, if you watched, it was the first. So I think new deal between Monaco and F1, it was the first time that they broadcasted the over like drone shots from above.
Like a helicopter.
That was the first time they did that?
Yeah. Full overhead scenes. Yeah, I don't know why. I think there was a deal. I think Monaco, they control the TV rights stuff, but there was some changes and tweaks in there. Maybe if someone is more hip to it could fire at us on Twitter or in the comments on YouTube. But yeah, that was a new little production thing this weekend. But it's summer, baby, and I'm ready to turn it up.
Lou, what's on your mind?
I'm excited about summer as well. I feel like
that was definitely going to be what's on my mind for sure.
Yeah, I now that you just said that out loud, I'm thinking about it and I'm like, damn, it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, I know.
Like there's a lot of good opportunities this summer, heading into a big fall for me and Tyler personally with football. So a couple of things for me. Number one is the Taylor Swift concert this weekend. I now live decently close to where that is, to where that concert took place. So the traffic around here was out of control. If you got like near the stadium, especially on Friday night, it was like crazy. Never seen anything like that around here. Part of that was Aaron Rodgers was in the building for 2 of the 3 shows over the weekend and was having an absolute ball. So I was just following those videos throughout the weekend, laughing. And then in the collectibles world, Ryan, I feel like you might be able to help me a little bit with this. I'm looking for ideas. I would say Succession is in my top 3 to 5 favorite shows of all time, and that ended this weekend. I watched it live from the first week. I saw an ad on YouTube in 2015, and I was like, this show looks good. I'm going to watch this show. And I watched it, and I got into it, and I loved it, and it officially finished this past Sunday night. And I was thinking to myself, all right, what do I want to commemorate that show? Like, I need something. I need to own something, whatever. And unless you watch a show, there's going to be there's certain specific things that are worth owning on that show that if they ever came up for sale, I would definitely want to buy them. But do you think something like a script is that something you want to hold as a fan of a TV show, or is it like a random little prop? I would almost, I'm trying to decide if I want to try to get a script from one of the episodes that I love. Like there's something like that that's percolating in my head right now. So I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts. Yeah. Pilot script is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, my first thought is like, how often does that stuff become available? Like,
yes,
is it like, hey, you get your pick here, like you get to pick kind of whatever you want, or is it like, hey, there's a script for sale for the first time in 5 years, like they don't ever pop up.
So the scripts come up randomly, and and if they're signed, depends who they're signed by, obviously, but they're somewhere in the neighborhood of like $200 to $500.
That doesn't seem bad at all.
Yeah,
that is, yeah.
Like a Brian Cox autograph script is $200.
Really?
Brian Cox, like the main character on the show.
Yeah. Who does he play?
He plays Logan, the dad.
He plays Logan. Got it. To me, I don't know if it's his office. Again, I've probably seen it 8 episodes total, and I went to watch
something from his office
with my parents, and I passed. Yeah, like I'm more of a prop.
I think I'm a prop guy as well.
Like, is there a handful of props that are known for the show and like don't need to be crazy, but it's like, yeah, that was in that, like that was from the show, and it's just part of your background or whatever.
Photo matching to an episode.
Correct. Yeah. Is there something that hung on the wall that maybe goes behind you on the wall of your show? Right. Card talk, like, and then it's like that was from the show.
So they filmed a lot.
That's how I would
find something.
To me, a prop is more interesting than a script because of display purposes. It can be part of your thing, and then you just nod to it, or you could frame the script. But
okay,
agreed.
All right, that's on my mind. I'm just thinking about Succession in summertime.
Like a desk lamp, the desk lamp from his desk in his office.
I just got to find a way, because I feel like those things come available on places that aren't your traditional auction sites.
Yeah.
So I need to figure out where those are.
That's where our guy Ty comes in.
You know what I've been thinking about?
What?
And I know we're running on a little bit. What's on your mind before we get to Ryan? How do I get involved some way in this HBO Harry Potter show? Because I was thinking, I'm like, okay, think about how big of a business it is. First, I'm thinking about just like the show running, and like whoever J.K. Rowling decides that she wants to do business with, like immediately is busy for the next 10 years and making a ton of money. Like, and it's like, okay, what are like all the different aspects of what's going on? Because people are working. I mean, talk about building sets, and you just think about the Game of Thrones production over that many years, and like people dedicate their lives to it and live in and scout. Just think about being a location scout. Sick.
How much would you pay to be an extra? If I told you here, let's start here. Would you pay $10,000 to be an extra for one episode? $10,000.
That's a good question.
Cash money on the table,
because they kind of do those things where they'll like sell them, or like.
And I'm trying to figure out where you're.
I need a line.
Thinking about
I need a line. I need a line.
Need a couple words.
What about an in-passing
just
line?
a line, just one line walking down the hallway.
Hello, Mr. Potter.
Yeah, exactly. Like, great to see you back again, Mr. Potter.
And that's it.
That's it.
$10,000.
Yeah, if I get a line, I'm in. No line,
what about $25,000? Too much. Okay, I'm trying to find
at least. I need a $25,000. You need to be involved in a plot of a single episode. Doesn't need to have an arc. Just
Yeah.
like maybe
You're like
it's seen
the-
early on and seen late, and it's a clip.
Like Ty's gonna be like the guy that like Malfoy hires to like help blow up like
Mhm.
one of the rooms, and like he gets killed in the explosion. Like
Yeah,
Ty's
exactly.
if
Like
I was
same
involved
episode.
in that, I'm in.
Same episode, in,
That's
out.
funny.
That's it.
That's very funny.
Yeah. So Ryan, what's on your mind?
Yeah, summertime for sure. Long weekend. It's nice to have an extra day. Went to Shipshewana, Indiana. I told you guys that earlier. Show that my buddy B Sports runs. It's one of the best shows in the country. And I was talking with him this weekend, and it's I told you guys it's literally in the middle of nowhere, Indiana, like northern Indiana, and I told you there's horse and buggies everywhere. There's the like it is very very
They got
different.
Amish in Indiana.
Yeah, northern. I mean, it's literally there was one time we went like there's like 80 of them in a row, all going to like I don't know where they're going, but like they're traveling somewhere. And I tell Brad like it's less than 2 hours from Chicago. It's less than 3 hours from a lot of the major cities in Michigan. It's less than 4 hours from Cleveland. It's less than 4 hours from Columbus, and it's less than like 5 hours from Cincinnati, and it's under 2 hours from Indianapolis. So it's like it's actually not in a bad spot if you're just a 4 hour or less car ride from that location. It's got like a nice. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it's become a really good show for people like in that area to meet up and buy and sell, and it's got a lot of good pub, a lot of good dealers, so it was a lot of fun. We bought a lot. We like vlogs will drop on YouTube this week, but it was a really 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 good show, and it was honestly probably one of the best 3 shows I've been to. Like really, like some of the good Dallas shows, some of those vibes there were really really good, but just in terms of like what we picked up in the deals, like it was cool. It was a lot of fun. So that was fun to do that. Reg was also in the New York metropolitan area this weekend, near my friend Lou, visiting Taylor Swift in MetLife Stadium. And I told you guys before, man, I'm not sure there's anything bigger on earth than Taylor Swift, because I know what those tickets cost, and that is it's an obscene, like, for any amount of money. I saw something on TikTok this morning that talked about like the third night in MetLife. So like this would have been like Sunday night. Obstructed view seats got over $2,000. $2,000 for an obstructed view, like the corner behind the stage and like the top, like to barely see her, just to be in the same, breathing the same air as this girl. Like $2,000 for obstructed view. Nah, man. It was, and yeah, I looked on Ticketmaster this weekend, and you see them, and it's like, this is, I mean, I thought the Super Bowl was expensive, and then you see what 4 hours to watch Taylor Swift sing a bunch of songs you can hear on the radio every day is wild.
That is the Super Bowl.
I mean, her autos do numbers.
Yeah, yeah. Look
She's
at
doing the Super Bowl 50 times in the next few months.
Yeah. Look at, so Ty, Reg is talking to me. This is the collector in me. She's like, they got these like blue
the CDs, right?
She's like, they got these CDs you can buy 4 per person. I'm like, I'd buy 4. Buy as many as you can buy.
Had a secret track on it or whatever.
I said, tell him you're pregnant and ask if you can buy 4 for him too. Like, buy as many as you can. Like, I'm like, I know what these will sell for. And she's like, yeah, there's like this exclusive like crew neck that's blue that's only being sold on tour. And I'm like, cool. What's that cost? And I think she's like $60. That thing on eBay, like north of $200. I'm like, well, and so she's like, yeah, they don't have any blue ones left.
Dude, if you're with all due respect to everyone involved, if you're a dude listening to this show who thinks they're too good for Taylor Swift, like, wake up. There is serious opportunities happening during this tour. You need to pay attention.
Oh my goodness. My like sister-in-laws like are obsessed with her. Like, I mean, I don't know if I know anybody that has like that big of a following anywhere that I've ever like witnessed. Like Taylor Swift, it is wild.
$100 for a t-shirt from the tour, $207 for a merch box, $120 for a pullover. Like, come on.
That's great. I respect it.
Yep. It's wild. So, yeah, Taylor Swift to the moon for sure. And then, I mean, kind of what else is on my mind. I watched game 7 last night. I know that's kind of like our next segment.
Yeah.
I've been very open on this show and for a long time on like social. Like I was really big into Tatum early. I had some cool Tatum stuff. I am a Tatum believer, but I'm not sure I've seen a more inconsistent superstar than Tatum. I get it. He got hurt, but like he was out there, he was playing. Like if you're out there and you're like, if you're out there, play. If you're not out there, like if you can't play, don't play. Like I get it. But we saw this in the last series and he had 51 points in game 7, like willed his way. They won that series through his 51. But there's some games you're like, dude, what is this dude doing? And it's like, you either get like top 5 player in the world or you get like second, you get a second superstar. Like he's not the guy. And it is, I think that's kind of what's on my mind here is obviously I wanted the Celtics to win. I wanted Tatum, but it kind of leads into a bigger point of, I think the NBA is going to be interesting this summer. I think you're going to see some teams blow it up. I'm not sure the Celtics will run it back there. The Bucks fired their coach. What are they going to do? What's Giannis going to do? What's Kyrie going to do in Dallas? Sounds like it may end up being in LA. Like what's happening there? What are the Phoenix Warriors? What are the Warriors going to do? Jordan Poole, you would say, is probably not coming back. Are they going to re-sign Clay? Or is he going to take less money? The Suns got KD. Like there's just a lot of stuff
New York
going on.
Knickerbockers.
Yeah, the Knicks. Like I think it's going to be a very, very, very interesting summer. So yeah, I think the start of next season will look a lot different than how this one ended.
The Celtics need to make some plays.
The Knicks need to get them. The Knicks. It's all about the Knicks. Are we going to ship Randall? What are we doing? Because I think we should be playing in the conference finals next year. We got Brunson. Yeah, it's all about the Knicks, in my opinion.
Ty, would you take the Knicks or the Jets first?
As a fan?
No, like to win.
To win it all, the Jets are way better positioned right now. Currently,
no, I'm saying if you, Tyler Schmidt, get to pick one of them to win next season, who are you taking?
Like if I could just, who do I want?
Who would you rather have a title with, the Knicks or the Jets? I think the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, personally, it's the Knicks, but for my family and friends and overall, like the Jets would be a lot of fun. Obviously, because of Gary, AJ, the crew that I go to game, like I go to the Jet home games, and I'm very much invested. Over my life, I'm a bigger basketball fan. I'm a bigger NBA over NFL. I'm a bigger Knicks fan over Jet fan. But if the Jets were to win, that'd be a pretty epic run of fun times. So both would be epic. I mean, if Penn State can make the college football playoff.
I knew that would be your answer, so I didn't say that. So that's why I was more curious on the other ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, Lou, what were you saying? I think you said something about the Celtics.
Yeah, I think they are in an interesting position, and I think they are kind of the decision with Jaylen Brown, I think, is going to change a lot for a lot of teams. So, like, if they decide they want to move Jaylen Brown, there's 4 or 5 teams that instantly go into the race for him. And what that means for the Celtics, what that means for the NBA at large is crazy. And then, like I was saying to you guys before we started, and I'm not going to get into it because I don't know all the details. I'm not a math guy. I'm not a numbers guy. But this CBA stuff seems like it has a very big impact on the NBA in the future immediately because it kicks in immediately starting next year. So there's going to be a lot of implications for these higher end teams that are on the higher end of the salary cap. I would recommend listening to Simmons and Russillo talk about it on their podcast. They had all the information. They had the examples of like, you can really only have 2 stars on your team now. And what does that mean for the rest of the players and how these teams operate going forward is going to change a lot, I think. So it's going to be a very interesting summer in the NBA.
Yeah, I agree. I think so too. I think it's going to be an interesting, I think there's going to be repercussions in cards though.
Yes.
You're going to have some guys that are, is Jaylen Brown going to get moved to be a superstar on a team? Is he going to be expected to be a 1 somewhere and his stuff goes up? Are the Celtics, I told you earlier, like I heard some talk about like Dame getting traded to Boston. Like is Dame stuff going to be affected? What happens with Jordan Poole if he gets moved? Like is KD going to a fifth team now? I mean, I think five. Like, what's gonna happen there? Just it's gonna be interesting. But we just have to have the finals first. Heat in Denver.
Should be a walkover.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
I see the Heat. I see the Jimmy Butler. I'm like, man, there's some dogs on that team. Like, they're good, but I'm like, I don't think anybody's beaten Jokic.
How do you even stop the pick and roll? The Murray Jokic pick and roll is just like, and then
Not
you
with
got
the
MPJ on
Heat,
the
you
wing.
don't.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's not going to be Bam Adebayo stopping Jokic. That's for sure.
No, it's Bam and Kyle Lowry against Jamal Murray and Jokic. We got issues, boys.
But Card Talk does have an MPJ Finals MVP bet.
By the way, he's up to plus 21,000 now, so the odds actually went down.
The odds are worse.
So
Meaning we should have waited.
Do you want to double?
Yeah, $2 a piece. $2 a piece. All right, let's get a $10 bet. Just throw some more on it. $5 a piece. I'm in.
Every game we just keep doubling down on it.
Yeah.
I think I have
a $5 bet on MPJ to score more than 30 points in a game.
He'll get that.
I'm like, I think it pays. It's like pays $45 if it wins.
Not bad.
Question. So predictions here.
Yeah.
What are we? Heat or Nuggets in 4? Nuggets in
I have
5?
Nuggets in 5. I bet
6.
it last night.
I like them in 6.
That's fair.
I like them.
I did the exact game order bet.
Did you?
Which was?
Yeah.
One Nuggets win the first, Heat win the second, and then it's 3 from there.
No, I have Nuggets, Heat, win 1 at home, Nuggets.
I think it's 4 straight.
Could be.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's stopping that 3. 1 and 2, and then MPJ in the mix there. Aaron Gordon, like, yeah, I'm taking the Nuggets. It would be cool. Like, I Jimmy Butler, man. He doesn't get a lot of love in cards. He's a real quiet superstar, but he is so good.
He is so good. He's been through like a journey too to like get to this point with the Heat.
For sure.
I can't believe they won last night.
Yeah, they're good. They've got some real talent on that team.
I think the Tatum injury was a big deal, and it actually is it's a
Sure.
very good excuse that they could use to run it back next year.
Sure.
But the Heat were just wire to wire much better last night overall. Tatum or no Tatum injury.
Yeah. Yeah, it does suck he got hurt, but man, I feel like this
First play of the game.
This entire playoffs, like it was either you got 51 in game 7, like top 5 player in the league, or you got like, I mean, I told you he had more turnovers this year than he did assists. Like, yeah. I think there was some crazy stat. I don't remember what it was, so I'm not gonna like mess this up. But where like he didn't have like a field goal in the 4th quarter.
Crazy.
So I'm excited for the offseason. But another little prediction. Not sure if any of you guys have watched much of it so far. I've actually kept up with it more than most years. But the NHL playoffs are coming to an end as well. Stars were down 3-0, won 2 games at home, trying to force a game 7 against Vegas. You got 2-0 real quick. 3-0 and a 1. Lost 6-0 last night.
Crazy.
Dallas is who I was pulling for post Edmonton losing. But you're going to have another Florida team in another finals as the Florida Panthers take on the Vegas Golden Knights. Any predictions there on who you expect to win?
I don't
Vegas. Know this. Yeah, Vegas is supposed to be the winner, right?
Yeah, Vegas is definitely favored.
They've been grinding.
Maybe I should parlay.
But I'm telling you what, man, like if I've watched a couple games from Florida, like when I'm working late at the shop on whatnot, like we'll have the game on. They are such a gritty team. Like Matthew Tkachuk is on fire. He is so good. Like scored in like game 6, game 5, like whatever the last game they played was. Scored with like 4 seconds left to send them. Like, dude, he's the real deal. He's on fire this postseason. Bobrovsky obviously looks really good. Sucks seeing him there as a fellow Jacket. Like, not gonna root for him for sure. But man, they look just like the Miami Heat. Nobody picked them to be there. Nobody would have ever expected them to be there. And now they're there, and you're like, well, we're not gonna pick against them again. We're gonna pick them against them again. I don't know. it's going to be an interesting series. I expect Vegas to win. I think they're the favorites, but I think I'm going to take the Panthers on this one. Just because I think I want them to win. Like, I'm not Bob's biggest fan because of what he did, but I like Matthew Tkachuk. He is the real deal. He's so good. So I'm looking forward to watching that.
Yeah,
Jack
I
Eichel
hear
really
that.
good too.
Jack
Eichel
Eichel's a beast.
was a top pick, 1 or 2 for the Sabres one year.
A long time ago,
It was
right?
nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and got
the Sabres.
like it just had some injuries, and they wanted one thing out of his injury. He wanted another thing. I think it was some surgery stuff. And then pretty much forced his way out of there. But Vegas, yeah. Like he was supposed to be major for them, and it just all kind of fell apart. But 2017 expansion team, first year.
They went to
Is
the
that what-
finals their first year, right?
Yeah.
Because
They
they got
went to-
Marc-Andre Fleury from the Penguins. Like, they had some guys early. They were good.
Mhm. Yep. I think they made the playoffs their first 4 years. And I don't know, it just feels like it would be cool for sports for a team that's like 5-6 years old professionally to bring it home. I also think Vegas, they were the first professional team officially calling Vegas their home. And now every sport will have a location in Vegas. So I don't know. I think it's overall good for sports. I like what's going on with Vegas is becoming a sport town because now you can bet anywhere and everywhere. And so that like isn't the same glitz and glam, go there and play blackjack.
Imagine being an expansion team and having all that success in 6 years, and everybody wants you to win and getting all these great players, and then, not getting rigged, not getting rigged in the draft lottery, and being an expansion team for 23 years and having one time in the second round. Yeah, must be nice.
You're talking about a team from Columbus?
Something like that.
Teams in
Columbus and Vegas are a little bit different, brother.
No, they're not.
They got a lot of casinos in Columbus.
Listen,
2.
some things are going well for Ohio. They haven't turned the corner that much just yet.
They had table games there yet, or it's just all
One of
electronic?
them has table games.
Oh, okay.
Table games are coming to New York City. Be careful.
That's a big deal. You guys want to just go to Yonkers time, just grind blackjack?
Hit me.
It's actually like one of those things that I used to. I don't know if I should even talk about this because this is probably just a bad habit to have. But like when me and my friends turned 18, we used to go to Yonkers all the time and like play electronic games.
I mean, when me and my friends turned 18, we used to drive to Turning Stone without a hotel room, 4.5 hours to play blackjack, sleep in the car for 2 hours, and drive home.
But then the reason that's insane, by the way. But when Yonkers is right there, but that's insane. But I feel like
18. Then when we turned 21, we were able to go to Sands.
It's crazy the stupid things you do when you have like a car and you're young and you have time on your hands. But anyway, the mobile gaming has kind of ruined that fun. Like being able to just go on your phone and play blackjack is cool. First of all, horrible. You should never do that.
Thankfully, I don't have that level of degeneracy in me.
You should never do that.
It's so funny. The best part about this is you guys are like, no, you shouldn't do that.
But it's a good time.
Yeah, we're sitting here like, man, am I getting this break? Am I a little personal? Later?
Oh yeah,
I get it.
A little 500.
Same thing.
I'm like, exact same thing. It's all electronic now. It's the same thing at your fingertips, but it doesn't. It's not a. You're not searching for 21. You're searching for
crazy.
Prism Gold.
Oh man, Turning Stone. Anyway,
real quick, who you take? You guys both taking Vegas?
Yeah, I'll take Vegas. Okay. I might do a Vegas Nuggets parlay.
I like that.
To get it down to plus odds for them to
get
it on the Nuggets.
I like the Nuggets so much, but I want to see the Panthers grit their way there. I like it. We'll see. Fun times. There was a big sale this weekend. I do want to mention this real quick. Was it 60? I think it was like $66,000 for a Barry Bonds 1/1 from like, what was it, 96, 97 Fleer Ultra? I know Jay texted it to us. I saw it this morning. It was like, shout out to Jay for sending it over. Yeah, record sale. The 1999 Ultra Masterpieces 1/1 Barry Bonds. This is from Eric Whiteback on Twitter. It's a new all-time record for any Barry Bonds card. Now, Lou, real quick, we're not going to spend a ton of time on this. It was a PSA 7 Barry Bonds 1/1 Masterpiece, but I think you had kind of made a point. I think you had found a stat about an Anthony Volpe sale. I just wanted to kind of bring that up here.
Yeah, I mean, there was the red Volpe Bowman auto did $150K. I mean, it's a different era, different type of stuff. It's a red auto. There is it wasn't a red. It was just a 1-of-1 Bonds. It wasn't signed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But Barry Bonds, I would say, is the most impactful baseball player of our early years. Is that a safe thing to say?
I would have said Griffey
I guess
because he did it the right way.
Him and Jeter, but
Him and Jeter? No, I would say probably Griffey is a more impactful
I think
baseball player.
Griffey's up there.
Anyway, but so I just feel like that he's just disrespected and isn't given the love he deserves, and I'm not sure if he'll ever get it.
Lou, I'm not a baseball guy.
You are not.
Love
Can't
Griffey.
name 5 players on any team, pretty much.
I can tell you a lot of the guys I grew up watching on the same team.
Right, but right now, can you name 5 Guardians?
I can name. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, moving on.
Stephen Kwan.
Yeah.
Tristan McKenzie.
Okay, that's 2.
Jose Ramirez.
3.
go to the pitching staff.
He did one already.
I know. McKenzie's the guy I know. Oh, Shane Bieber.
Okay, that's a good one. Is he still on the team?
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Justin.
Not to be confused with
Clevenger's not there anymore, is he?
Clevenger left now. One of the all-time votes.
We might stop at 4.
What was your question? You're not a big baseball guy.
Anyways, it is. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. I'm sure I'm gonna miss something in this.
Sure.
This general idea, but it seems very odd from a very passive baseball. Not even say I would say fan. But in the summer, what was it? 97, 98. When was the home run battle with McGuire and Sosa?
97.
I remember that incredibly well.
98. Jay's right.
What am I missing in this? What am I missing in this? Where it's like baseball pumped that so much to like promote the sport. It was such a big deal, and then like Bonds and Sosa and McGuire are just like not ever talked about from baseball. Like baseball, like it seems like kind of crappy to like, hey, promote it, get our sport out of it. Probably knowing they were juicing, or is that not known? Like I'm trying to understand like why baseball was like, so big on this, and they're like, yeah, sorry, thanks anyway, see you later.
Baseball, MLB, Bud Selig,
they're complicit.
Took as much juice. Yeah, took as much juice from that rock as they possibly could, and then
turned and blamed it on the players.
Yes, when the public perception came out and changed, they just threw their players under the bus, like they always do.
It's kind of wild.
I can think of another example in more recent times where that happened as well.
Well, it's not too dissimilar from gambling. I mean, like the Pete Rose thing, but all the leagues. I mean, used to be like no gambling. Now we can make them billions and billions of dollars gambling. Woo!
Did you see that story that came out? There was a team that has like 5 players under investigation for gambling.
Did you see the Alabama baseball team?
Well, I told you guys about that story.
The coach?
Yeah, the coach was gambling on his own team.
Yeah, took out his star player, his star pitcher, just scratched him out of nowhere. It was
really?
It was big news in Ohio on like local news. It said like
because the bets were being placed in Ohio. He was calling his buddy and having his buddy place the bets in Ohio.
I don't know about that, but it just said like like Alabama baseball team removed from like local betting sites. And you're like, that's weird. Like, why would I care about Alabama baseball? Yeah, wild. But anyways, I find that so odd that baseball is like, hey, the summer of '98, those two back and forth chasing, Maris. And then it's like
MLB has always had a way of taking things that people are enjoying and having fun with. The second public perception changes, they throw their players under the bus. It's been the story of baseball since the 80s and probably before. I'm just aware of it since the 80s.
Interesting.
Yeah. They did it with the Astros. They're going to do it with the next thing that happens. It's how they always do it.
Interesting. Well, speaking of interesting things that are a little bit more recent, there was a story that went live this weekend on Twitter. I'm going to read it to you just verbatim from the tweet. Again, this is from Eric Whiteback. It was originally posted on Instagram from the collector Carl. I'm going to try my last name, Zhao. It basically says, collector Carl Zhao submitted the redemption for this 1-of-1 Jason Tatum logo man over 4 years ago. The date, I don't know if I have the date on here. It says request replacement in 1,200 days. I'm trying to see. It says redemption in progress, right? Anyways, it says while he is still waiting for the redemption to be fulfilled, someone has the card he's waiting on listed for sale on eBay. Panini is not allegedly. This is all just from the tweet. I'm reading the tweet here.
All alleged.
It says Panini is not replying to any of Carl's messages, and Carl's account still clearly shows that he's waiting for this exact redemption to be fulfilled. What happened here? Did a Panini employee walk off with this card and sell it on their own? Carl says if he does not get a response soon, that he will be suing Panini over this card. The card sold on eBay last week for $23,000. So the card in question here, again, I'm just reading the tweet. The card in question is a 17-18 immaculate dual rookie logo man auto 1/1 of Jason Tatum and Lonzo Ball.
Mm-hmm.
So rookie
at the time could have been a huge card,
monster card, because Lonzo was one of the big chases at the time. I mean, the thing is like 17-18.
Oh my god,
the card market wasn't as hot as it is, as it got. So the card was probably worth more in like 2020, 2021, like COVID times. But yeah, that's a very interesting case there of waiting on a redemption for that long. They always say there's two sides of a story, and then somewhere in the middle lies the truth. So very interesting to see that. But any kind of initial thoughts there?
There's been a couple updates on it. We could speak about too if you want.
Oh, has there been?
Couple, nothing crazy, but
what have you learned?
So Carl said he knows the person who bought it, who bought the card at the Dallas card show at some point. So the card has changed hands multiple times, it sounds like. He also said that Shine was the one who connected him to Panini. So shout out to Shine for trying to do the right thing on that point. And then the other thing was yesterday he updated his post on Instagram and said after 1,200 days of outreach, Panini has now reached out to him. Okay. So I guess they're going back and forth on email now. I want to keep an eye on this, but just a wild situation. And this is the problem with the redemptions that just sit around forever and ever and ever. And I don't know. What do you guys think? Brian, what would you rather have? Would you rather never get your redemption? Would you rather get the unsigned one, which is something that Jason suggested before the show? I just don't know what the answer is, because on some level, there's no way they couldn't get the autograph in all this time. He signed a ton of stuff since then, before and since then. But also, if you can't get it, there's got to be some sort of equal value. And I would assume an unsigned version is the middle ground.
I don't know. I mean, Panini obviously manufactures cards. They have a lot of redemption replacements. They have access to wax. What we also don't know is, did Carl ever reach out? Because I'm assuming with the volume, we do TikTok videos all the time with like ripping open redemptions. I have hundreds of redemptions I'm waiting on for Panini. Yeah. Panini's got millions of redemptions, or hundreds of thousands, right? If not millions. I'm sure Panini's not being like proactive and no right or wrong against Panini, but I'm sure Panini's not saying like, hey, Carl, hope all is well. Let me know if you want to get this thing replaced. Like, I'm sure they're not being proactive in that.
Nor
so
should
like,
they.
Did he reach out and say, hey, can I get something like for like? Was he only wanting that? Yeah, it's a very interesting story here. I mean, at this point, like, I think you're kind of like, if you're Carl, I think you're just kind of hoping, I don't know, like, if he's a true collector, it's different. Like, if you're just hoping to get the value now, like, I'm sure Panini can help you get more value for it because of the hiccup. But yeah, very, very interesting. But it's probably honestly not the first time it's happened. It's probably the first time we've known about it because it's such a big card. But like,
there's a couple replies under the tweet from Eric with like, this has also happened to me, et cetera, et cetera. This definitely happens all the time.
Yeah. I just can't imagine with the number of redemptions that they have that this isn't happening more. Again, you certainly, again, I always go back to this. Like, you hope it's not intentional. Like, that would be a much bigger thing. Like, was it?
But how does the card get out? That's like, I just don't understand. And this is what always happens. And I wish somebody would, if anyone from Panini would like to come on and talk about this, I would love to discuss it a little bit, because I just don't understand how these things get out.
Yeah, I don't know how a card that big gets out. That's a pretty big card. I mean, I've always assumed that with redemptions, like, let's say I've got like, let me think of one, like a Joe Burrow contender or national treasure. That's too big. I'm trying to think of
Joe Burrow flawless something.
No, I'm trying to think of a smaller card, like a Sauce Gardner. Like a Sauce Gardner limited patch auto. Let's say this card's a redemption, right? And the redemption expires like July 1st, 2024. My understanding was on like something like that, August 5th, 2024. The redemptions expired. Panini is taking those redemptions that didn't get claimed for Sauce Gardner, and they're using those as redemption replacements for somebody that's redeeming. Like, hey, I've had, this, Elijah Moore patch auto sitting with you guys for 6 years. Can I get this replaced? And like, yep, here you go. Here's a card of equal or lesser value. Here's an Amon Sauce Gardner that never got replaced. And they're using that repeatedly because when the Sauce Gardner replies or when the Elijah Moore, they're using that Sauce Gardner there. The Amon Sauce Gardner redemption expires. So at some point, somebody's like, hey, I'd like, I want something for this. Like, my thought is they're just using those to replace other cards down the road. I don't know what card you'd be replacing a $25,000 logo man with. Like, that seems like a wild thing to do. That's always been kind of my understanding is like on some of the smaller stuff, could they be using those cards to replace like value cards on $20 to $100? But again, I'm not sure how much it happens, if it happens, yet alone on cards that are $25,000. That's where again, if this was a $50 card, it's a little bit like, okay, you could give them something to swap it. On a $25,000 card, that was at some point probably much bigger than $25,000 during peak COVID.
100%.
Six-figure card.
And Ty, I'm sorry for not letting you get in here. I said one more.
No.
I am all for equal treatment for all cards, and everyone should be treated the same. There is just a fundamental difference between a redemption for a $50 Sauce Gardner card, and I'm not saying you're the wrong. I'm saying they need to treat it differently.
100%.
There's a difference
100%.
between a $50 Sauce Gardner card and a $25,000 Jason Tatum 101 logo man. Like either for individual releases, the redemption process should be different, and there should be more handholding for your more premium releases, or people are spending thousands of dollars to even buy the product, have the chance to rip the card. Like something has to be done on that front.
But it also makes you wonder, like the card's it says it redeemed over 1,200 days ago. He's been waiting on it for 4 years. I think there's some other things in this. Was there a glitch in Panini's system where Panini's like, hey, this card was never redeemed? Like where their back end just didn't say it was for that card. And they're like, yep, no one ever claimed it. Here you go. Like,
mistakes happen.
Mistakes happen there.
There needs to be some level of them talking about it to get it out there so people stop assuming the worst. Because when people are assuming the worst, there's more silence. Yep. People continue to assume the worst.
Yeah, this leads to rumors around the market about favoritism, about backdoor deals, about loaded boxes. This is what where those things come from when it's not addressed is, hey, this is what happened. This is why it happened. It won't happen again. We're going to fix it. Rather than like, oh, did this get backdoored to somebody? It leads to,
yes, this stuff is a big deal, but it's also not. Like, we can just be honest, and they can be transparent and say, hey, if this is the case, if they messed up, just say, hey, we messed up and it got shipped out to the wrong person, and here's the timeline of how that happened. They know it. It's in their system somewhere. I know it is.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can't imagine a card like that's just getting kind of like checked out.
Yeah. Ty?
You guys have summed it up brilliantly.
But I think it leads to the point. Michael Rubin has gone on podcasts before and specifically stated that they want to remove redemptions. These things don't happen if athletes sign their cards and have incentive to sign their cards, right? I'm certainly not blaming Panini for athletes not wanting to sign their cards. But it does sound like Michael Rubin is going to, the talk originally on this deal was when Fanatics bought Topps, or the licensing, was that they were going to try to get the Players Association to have a vested interest in the sports, in the sports card market, where these athletes would want to sign these cards. So like a you eat, we eat kind of thing, like rising tide lifts all boats. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens, because the first example of this, right? Like Topps is like, hey, we don't want redemptions. The biggest autograph player that Topps has signed so far is Victor Wembanyama, and he's a redemption in Bowman Inception. The very first big time athlete they've signed, he's a redemption, right? So how logistically possible is it? I think we're going to see a lot. Like, it clearly isn't easy, because Michael Rubin, the head of this massive sports card empire now, has said, hey, we don't want redemptions. The very first time there is a redemption, it's with the biggest name they've ever signed. I have high expectations for Fanatics and what they're going to do. Just going to be interesting to see how it plays out, right? If it's logistically possible, because everybody says they don't want to do it, right? But is it actually doable?
It's a fair point. There are certain realities to the situation that people have to deal with.
Interesting. So Q&A. Jay, how are we looking today on Q&A? I think we've got
Let's go.
Some in the text.
Oh yeah, the text. Shout out to Jay.
Goes down in the text.
We go down.
All right, we've got a bunch of them.
Yeah, listen, if you're sending questions about like your grading company, come on.
Why you gotta come people's neck like that? All right, let's see.
It's every week if it's the same question in there.
Here's one by Collect Baller. Why collect non-rookie, non-auto, or non-relic cards? Essentially, it's just cardboard. So that's from Collect Baller. I think the answer to that for me is why collect anything? It's all about collecting, right? And the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And Ryan spent his weekend in Shipshewana looking at cards. There's people who would look at a $100,000 card and call it just cardboard. There's people that would look at a rookie, auto, relic, all which fits what you're trying to ask, and say it's just cardboard. Or earlier in the show, Lou's talking about something from Secession that he might pay $500 for. There's people that maybe have never heard of the show. They'll be like, that makes no sense. There's people that would have watched the show and hated it. So to me, it's tchotchkes, like collecting anything. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. That's where arbitrage is from. That's why you have the ability to go to a show and pay $5 for a card and go on eBay and sell it for $100. That's everything. People would say, why are you going to spend that on a home when you could do that? You never want to watch other people's pockets or get too caught up in why other people are interested in certain things. If you aren't interested, that's okay. But trying to understand why others might be can bring a lot of upside to the situation.
That is one thing I see as someone that puts a lot of content out into the world. Those two things is a ton. The pocket watching thing and the, hey, why on earth did you buy this? This is so stupid. Not understanding the arbitrage of why somebody collects something. I've talked about it a million times about why the Iowa Hawkeyes sell well with no pro sports teams in Iowa, and what Sean Green and Marvin McNutt and Ricky Stanzi and Riley Reef and Desmond King and what those guys mean in the city of Iowa to someone that doesn't have professional sports teams. It sounds silly, but why collect it? Like because we are collectors, in the most obvious sense of the word, because I would collect it. Like if Donnie Nicky had a custom card that someone did that was really, really cool, I'd buy that because what it means. There's just a lot. I think there's a lot to unpack there. It's probably more like a psychological thing. Why do you collect cards in the first place? I for instance, the buying other people's tickets that are graded
makes no sense to me.
It's crazy to me, but I'm trying to understand, and it's people want to collect moments and memories, in time. Taylor Swift, all these things. If you spend all your time trying to say that's dumb, yeah, exactly. If you spend all your time trying to say that's dumb, it can just be flipped on you because you do things that make no sense to people.
Mm-hmm.
We all
just stop being a hater. Not saying this person's a hater. I'm saying don't be a hater about it. Why would you collect anything? The reason is because they like it.
Yep. Agreed.
I would buy unlimited Darrell Revis Jets cards. I don't care what you. Maybe that's not true. I would buy unlimited Mark Sanchez Jets cards just because I would.
I watched. We bought a deal in Dallas, Lou. We did a video on it last night. Dropped in the video. I bought 4 Darrell Revis 2007 contenders from one guy.
Really?
4 of them.
Interesting. Maybe we should have a conversation.
Probably not. I'm actually gonna upcharge you because you're a Jets fan.
Wow, that's kind of messed up.
Right, here's one for you.
I was gonna. Is it the trade night question?
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna read that one. I think it's a good question.
Cool.
Cardis
Gilmore.
Cardis Gilmore. tips for trade nights. I've never been to one, but hope to go to more soon at Bleecker Street. So shout out to Bleecker first and foremost. We've gone there for a few trade nights now. But yeah, I've done quite a few different trade nights in my days, and trade nights are fantastic. They're really, really fun, kind of like a continuation of card shows. So a couple different tips and tricks, right? I've learned over the years. First thing is no different than like a card show. Don't bring something you don't want to move. First and foremost, you bring something, good chances are a lot of people would want it. If you're not okay with not having it at the end of the night, don't bring it. We tell a lot of the like younger collectors, the first time it went over their heads because it's 14 and under crowd. The first time we ever were in a kids trade night, someone's like, how do you do this? And I'm like, well, it's kind of like speed dating, right? Everybody's here for the same reasons.
14-year-olds, you said that?
So everybody's here for the same reasons. They just, we're just a little shy, right? So everybody's here looking for the same thing. You're looking to make deals. So it's just, you got to be willing to put yourself out there. Like, hey, what are you looking for? Hey, what are you looking for? Sometimes you find common ground, sometimes you don't, right? But got to be willing to put yourself out there because everybody is there looking to make deals. You don't come to trade night to not make deals. So I think people are there to look to make deals happen. So being willing to put yourself out there. Know what your stuff is worth is a great one for sure. Saves you a lot of time, gives you, keeps you from getting smoked. The Wi-Fi in the Grove City area where our shop is horrible. It's so bad. So the shop, like the internet connection in the shop is not very good. So like people joke all the time, like, hey, do you have the Wi-Fi blocked so we can't look up things? I'm like, no, man. Like, imagine you're trying to do business with this Wi-Fi. It's
Can I stop you for 1 second on that?
Yes.
One of the best things I ever did was because I pre-price everything. I have the price I want, and then the bottom price, you always have it, just so that you don't have to think about it. Because that's all like a calculation you have to make in your head in the moment of trying to make a deal.
Exactly. But that's why I'm trying
to have your top and your bottom. It's best case scenario.
Yeah. So that's why I'm trying to get to that point is like having an idea of what those are. So you don't get to somewhere where like internet's not good, your cell phone's not working, your cell phone dies, right? Having an idea of what something is worth and what you'd be willing to take for it, what you might have into it, knowing those things ahead of time will save you the stress or the pressure. Like you get into a big deal and like sometimes it's a lot of pressure and like things go.
You're clear-minded when you're doing it beforehand.
Yeah.
So and even if you want to go even lower than you wanted to in the moment, like then you're undervaluing your own stuff just to make a deal. So like you're at your clearest point the day before the thing happens and you're able to price out your stuff fairly. And you have to be fair the entire time.
Yep. So a couple different things there. They're a good time. Like if they're put on right, they're definitely a good time. So going into it prepared, not taking stuff you don't want to move, and then understanding that everybody is there for the same reason. Might have to be a little willing to put yourself out there, but trade nights are great.
Yep,
for sure. So you got one you want?
Yes, I think we can take this. I know we're going to do one more, right? Because we have to do play of the week.
Yeah, you're the last one.
So I'll do Bazonker cards 6, 7, 8. We could answer the question. I think it's a different conversation topic. Is Trevor Lawrence a good investment? If so, what kind of card should I be buying? So I think the first question is, Ryan, you're going to say Trevor Lawrence is a good pick for this year, right?
I have been very open that I think Trevor Lawrence is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think his stuff will be very, very, very hot at the National. Again, I told you guys I went to Shipshewana this weekend, just like in Dallas, and I told you guys this before. I ask every single dealer. I always ask, who is hot? What are people asking for? I'm trying to understand the market. I'm trying to understand what people are looking for. I'm trying to understand that. It's free market insight. Every time I go to a show, when I ask every single dealer, hey, what's been hot this weekend? Oh, this, because this guy doesn't sell football. So he's telling me a different. He's telling me Otani's hot, right? This person's telling me Burrow's hot. This person's telling, so you're learning that way. So I always ask. Trevor Lawrence is almost always one of the answers when somebody has football. It's, kids are looking for Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence. Lawrence comes up a lot. I think Trevor Lawrence, regardless if you think Trevor Lawrence is going to be good or not, I think he's going to be one of the most liquid players at the National. Like, I don't think that's...
You're thinking about it in the window of the next 4 months.
I think there's two ways you could look at it. I believe Trevor Lawrence will be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL this year. But he's also going to be one of the, regardless if you agree with me or that or not, there's no doubt in my mind Trevor Lawrence will be one of the top 5 most asked about players at the National. Regardless if you think he's going to have a good year or not, there's opportunity to have somebody that is very liquid at the National. Now, will the card market continue to go down between now and then? Will Trevor Lawrence stuff go up? There's a lot at play there. So, like, while Trevor Lawrence might be asked about, his stuff might not trickle up between now and then. It might go down. Like, there's a lot that could happen. But do I think Trevor Lawrence is a good investment? Yeah, I do. I'm very open. I have some big Trevor Lawrence stuff. Now, do I intend to keep every single Trevor Lawrence between now and the start of the season? No, probably not, right? I think some of those cards are going to be pretty hot, and I'm going to probably cash in on the opportunity on some of them. Will I keep some stuff going into the season because I'm a Trevor Lawrence believer? Yeah, you can bet that.
I'm starting to get iffy on the Jags in general.
Why?
It just seems like everyone's decided, because the 3 other teams in their division are horrific. So I think everyone's decided that they're just going to walk into the division championship. And number one, just because you walk to the AFC South division championship doesn't mean that you're a good team.
Sure.
And number
100%.
2, they're going to run into a couple of good teams when they're scheduled around the season. And I feel like they're the kind of team that goes, 10-7, sweeps their division and gets their ass kicked by every good team they play.
Yeah, I also think you're discrediting what they've been able to do so far after the Urban Meyer situation, imploded on them, right? You bring in Doug Peterson, you get a couple weapons, you're adding Calvin Ridley to the mix, ETN's fully healthy again. I think there's a lot of team there, and you had some real games that mattered in the postseason. The comeback win against, as Lou says, Midbird, right? That comeback win was important.
They played some good games this year.
In a competitive game with Kansas City on the road. That was very competitive. I think that's real experience that will matter. Like, those are games that not a lot of teams get to play, and I think it's going to I think it's going to count. Again, good Trevor Lawrence.
So the good news is, I think that'll be exciting for T-Law and T-Law holders is they play the Chiefs, they play at the Bills, home for the Chiefs. Niners at home, Bengals at home, Ravens at home. They got a lot of good games this year against good quarterbacks where Trevor has a chance to,
I would say
more noise.
It's close. Bills and Eagles, I think, are going to be close. I'd probably take the Eagles. But 4 of those teams that they play are top 5 teams in the NFL. Bills,
yes, as of May.
Agreed. Bills, Chiefs, Niners, Bengals, for the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah, the AFC is unbelievably stacked, which I think also adds to the Trevor Lawrence conversation of,
can he get out of there?
Can he get out of the first round of the playoffs? Like
100%.
They just had Aaron Rodgers walk into the conference too, so it's not getting any easier for them. I mean, guy's automatically a top 3 quarterback in the conference. Do you want to do another quick question while Tyler's gone?
Okay. Yeah.
Let's do. Wait, let me do a quick one for you. Ryan's thoughts on Ryan Day getting fired if they let Michigan get the 3-peat.
I don't think Ohio State has a better option right now. I think it's the same thing you gave Michigan a couple years ago with Harbaugh starting 0-4.
They just completely swapped.
I mean, 0-2 for now. Yeah, it will tell you a lot about your program. 100%. I told you we have 3 goals: win the Big Ten, beat the team up north, play for a national title, win a national title. I mean, those are the goals. And if you can't beat Michigan, to me, nothing else matters. I would rather not go to the college football playoff than lose to Michigan. I promise you.
Ryan Day question.
Yeah, it was just while you were gone. Let's go to Player of the Week because I had to go at 11:15.
Ooh, that's kind of hot.
Fire! I've never seen this before.
This is from Big Tuck TV. I have a friend who got into breaks over the past 2 years and hadn't sold a single card. He needed space and asked me to sell some for him, and I agreed to a fee of 25%. After organizing a giant lot, I found this Joe Burrow Fire parallel from Optic. It was raw /PSA 9. Oh, it just says raw PSA 9 comps were all over the place from $30 to $100. The card looked super clean, so I personally offered to buy it for $40, which he was happy to take. I sent it off to PSA for $25 and got the 10, pop 3 with no sales. I listed on eBay for $500 and eventually took an offer for $300. All in all, I profited $190 at the card. After taking the risk, I threw my boy another $40. So the $150 profit on a single card ain't too shabby, and much more to come from the lot.
I was going to say it kind of smoked his butt,
Yeah.
Yeah, but his buddy didn't want to sell it anyway. I respect the 40 on top. I respect wanting to do work where someone else didn't want to do the work.
Oh, it's not that he didn't want to do the
you
work.
know-
He's paying for you to do the work.
I know, but I'm saying I have a friend who got into breaks. There's a couple different things here. I have a friend who got into a ton of breaks over the past few years and hadn't sold a single card. I think there are a lot of people like that.
I think
And
there's
back to
way
our
more than
point,
way more than people know.
Back to breaking being a blackjack table. That's what we're talking about. People just like the itch.
They're just bringing home chips from the casino.
Yeah, exactly. No, they're just yeah, I guess. Well, that's the better part than a casino is that most people go knowing
Tangible.
they're going to lose, enjoy the time anyway, but they
Yep.
lost their money. At least this guy has a stack of something that he could pay his friend, to get off his
Yep.
hands and recoup some profit. So
Yep, tangible items.
yeah, this is a W for all involved, including the person who's been doing the breaking and then has a friend to execute on some of the sales while he takes, a decent bit of the profit anyway.
That's a good looking card too.
It
Yeah,
is.
the fire emoji's kind of sick.
Yeah, I tell you what, it is very interesting. We haven't. It just kind of got like passed over and like swept under the rug, but like it's kind of crazy how quickly it became Mahomes, Joe Burrow, everybody else.
Yeah, Burrow's that guy.
I mean, it very like last summer it was like, okay, is it Josh Allen? Is it Herbert? Like Bengals going back. Bengals not going to be very good. I'm sure there's some clips. Jay, I would love to find some clips of. I think it was.
I think I was like, what? I think what if I said he's
They're not going to be
what
very
did I say,
good.
Joe Flacco? What if I said that?
It's- Yeah, about not being very good. There's probably some clips out
You
there.
compare
and it's
Joe
like,
Burrow to Joe Flacco. That's nasty.
I think to Matt Ryan. I think I said Matty Ryan.
I mean, no disrespect, but Joe Flacco had one of the greatest postseason runs ever and won a Super Bowl.
I'm not doing the Joe
Which
Flacco
is why I
conversation
said
again.
which is why I don't think I said Joe Flacco. I think I might have said Matty Ryan.
Either way, Joe Burrow is that guy.
That guy.
Jay,
For
what's
now.
next? All right,
Oh, I
Ruben
like
in
this.
the shop. It says, here's a quick and easy play. I like to watch graded card auctions end on eBay, looking for good deals to slip through the cracks. I picked up this Hope Solo 2011 Topps Allen and Ginter PSA 10 for $26.69 all in. It's your second year card with a pop of 9. Knowing the Women's World Cup was around the corner, I jumped on the deal and upon receiving it, immediately listed it for $250 or best offer. It sold yesterday for $190 plus shipping. After fees, I'll net $138.31. That's a plus 500% increase in value over less than 2 months. It's like Ryan says, it's all about the reps. Thanks for the show, fellas. Heck of a deal. So, like, if you know what you're looking for, especially on the women's soccer stuff, like that stuff, man, there are definitely some serious collectors out there for the U.S. women's national team. Some serious collectors.
Indeed, there are. I like to play Hope Solo, although she has had their ups and downs.
Yeah.
Was a
Tells you there's
legendary
definitely
player
plays
for the team.
in the soccer world if there's plays on Hope Solo. Because she's probably one of the bottom ones on that list for plays with some of the off the field stuff she's had. Some pretty again, I think it's pretty telling that there's definitely opportunity and stuff like that.
I'm fired up. Fired up for World Cup, fired up for women's soccer, fired up for footy in general. 2 big
What's
matches
it
the
called?
next 2 weekends.
Hershey Holland is transferring.
Not sure yet. Pochettino.
Juventus was the hot take this morning I saw.
You're talking about our man Christian Pulisic?
Yeah.
Brother, Hershey Holland, the Pennsylvania Pele.
I know who we're talking about here.
I
just
heard
wanted to
Juventus
confirm.
is in play.
Chelsea just signed their new manager, Mauricio Pochettino, who was formerly at Spurs, and we've yet to hear. I think there was some chatter that he likes the kid.
He's
Ty,
got no shot, this guy.
They
We can
sent
talk-
Joao Felix back to Spain. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, wasn't Brennan Aronson on one of the teams that got relegated? 'Cause he only had like he had a relegation clause in his thing that like triggered, which will allow him to get like moved this summer.
Yeah. Yes.
He has a
this is
thing in his
correct.
contract that says if they get sent down, he gets to leave.
Yeah, it's like a relegation
Kinda
clause.
sick.
First time in forever and ever and ever, maybe ever, but that all 3 teams that got promoted up into the Premier League stayed, which is a big thing. And then I'm going a little tangent. One of the teams that got promoted this year that's going to be playing in the Premier League next year, which would be epic. For
Are you talking about their run
Luton Town? Yeah.
for $7? Like that story. This story is crazy. Banana land.
There's a team that's going to be playing in the Premier League that pretty much went from it did the Wrexham thing over 9 years and is now in the Prem, and their grounds holds 10,000 people and is like in the middle of just some of these old school grounds are in the middle of these neighborhoods, and you have to go like through an apartment building to get into the stadium, and there's apartments literally attached to the stadium. And we're definitely going to be getting over there.
Ty, is this the team? Like I saw Darren Ravel tweeted about it, but basically, like they were sold for $7. The manager, the owner needed money, like sold them. Like they've worked their way up through the leagues over the years, and like they finally got promoted. Like that's crazy stuff. Like they write movies about stories like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not. Like
and then on the flip side, Leicester, who was the biggest championship story in sports potentially ever, biggest long shot, won it like I think 7 years ago. They just got relegated.
Those are pretty big financial implications, aren't they?
It's like $200 million, I think. I think this club's Luton Town's going from like making $7 million in revenue last year to a guaranteed $200 million from their Premier League contracts.
All right, what's next? We went on a tangent. Lou's got to go. Oh, here's a good one. This is from Craig's Cards. It says play of the week submission. This one takes a bit of luck, but it starts with me going to my local card shop, 3 Kings sports cards, and buying 3 boxes of UFC Prism undercard at $170 a piece. I ripped the boxes in the shop and ended up pulling a Bo Nickel red at a 99, Israel Adesanya gold at a 10, disco, and some other cool hits. I put the bow up for over comps on eBay for $300. It got clicked and paid for. After I went into a large UFC Facebook group and a lot of the other color autos and variations, someone was interested and I sold all of that for $280. Then with the Izzy, I put that in the Facebook group and ended up dealing it to a buyer that is working on the rainbow. In return for the Izzy, I got 3 PC cards, an O'Malley auto, Jack Della Delana orange rookie at a 99, and a Jalen Turner immaculate patch out of 8, and $70 cash. This definitely involves luck, but very happy after the rip. I don't know who Bo Nickel red is. I don't know who Bo Nickel is. But
Bo Nickel was a Penn State graduate wrestler. Nasty. Coming up in the ranks.
Wasn't he like the number one college wrestler in the world or something like that? Yeah.
Nasty.
Yeah, I mean, this is how you if you're not going to sell a card straight up immediately after you get it, you're better off, or like you're not just trying to maximize cash, you're better off just trying to get stuff that you like, you know?
Jay said that it's also worth noting that he pulled a Hasbulla silver and sold it in that lot for $280.
Hasbulla. What are we doing?
Fire.
Yeah, I mean, heck of a play. It definitely involves some luck, but man, it's pretty good. All right, what's next? Oh, this is a long one. This will be good. This is from Tanner Flips. It says picked up 10 SI for Kids magazines with Victor Wembo at Barnes & Noble with 20% off for under $5 a magazine. Put the magazines on eBay for 2 months with no bites at $50 each. After getting an offer at $30 each for all of them, I decided to recomp and realized the card itself went for $100-ish, while the magazine and the card only went for $40 to $60. Decided to instead rip the cards out and submit through SGC with my local card shop for fun. Total cost in was about $250 after all magazines and grading, and netted almost $4K on eBay right after the draft. I managed to get an SGC 8, a few 7s, a 6, and some 4s/authentics. The SGC 8 alone went for $1,500. 7 6s got me between The 7 and 6s got me between 400 and 600. Authentics and 4s got me around 200-ish on average. ROI was insanely good.
I mean, I don't know how you're not doing this if you have all of the like. Why would you?
I mean, like, let's just be honest though. If that's the advice we're gonna say, we all three got to look in the mirror, all 5 of us, every one of us, because we had conversations about these when these dropped, and not one of us, other than Jay, because Jay always makes the plays, not one of us bought a magazine. We had these conversations when these came out months ago. We're like, dude, this seems like a sneaky card. I just think it's funny that, like, we say, yeah, we should make. You're dumb for not making plays. And we literally didn't make a single play on this card.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm also gonna come out and say I'm maybe the worst go do it guy of all time. So I'll start there. I was more saying, like, if you're gonna buy the magazines, I would just selling the magazines whole, and it's a good job at least, like, to take a moment and be like, oh wait, like there's something going on here because I'm getting these weird offers. So definitely not hating on it. It's also the exact thing we talked about last week that was crazy in terms of price. So hard to say no at that point.
It's just so funny that, like, again, we talked about this. We're like, man, this Victor Wembanyama thing, this might be a big deal. They're in the magazines. And it blew up like this. And we're like, yeah, I could have bought 5 of these and graded them all. And yeah, Court, it does happen to us a lot.
All the time.
Lorcana was a really big one. I remember that. And Jay texted me. I'm like, no way. I still think it's insane, but the Carlos Alcaraz autos were insane. The Livy Dunn Leaf autos were insane. Couple in recent memory. So we'll see. But yeah, this is a heck of a play.
Yep.
Heck of a play. 2
more, right?
I think is it 1 more?
That's good. That's good stuff. Ooh, let me read this one. This is from Mid-Mo Sports Cards. Trey. Shout out Trey. 2 years ago, I bought a box of Chronicles Soccer Team All and just put the cards in a box. Last week, I was putting some value boxes together for a show and put some of the cards in a $3 box. During the show, I was looking through another person's value box and found a Victor Osimhen optic-based rookie for $5. Realizing one of the cards I had put in my $3 box was a Osimhen Blue Shimmer. I immediately ran over to my table and pulled it out of my box. Later that night, I posted it on eBay, and it sold a week later for $240 before fees. Not a bad find from my own value box.
Pulling a card out of your own value box, so you see it in someone else's box, is crazy.
That's a W, folks.
It's getting lucky.
I like it. He did make a play on himself. Victor was a key player. I think scored the game-winning goal that gave Napoli the Italian title for the first time in many years. It was huge for them, huge moment. It's a historic club, and so I think that's where we go back to collecting. And here's someone that you guys probably have never heard about.
Never in my life ever. I don't know who this guy is.
No clue.
And was sitting in a $3. Not what's crazy is he saw another one in a $5 value box somewhere else. Imagine how many of these have been floating around.
Oh, I mean, hold on. Oh, base. Okay, I was like, sure.
The other one was a base, right?
Yeah, Ty. It is. You know something I was just thinking about. You talk about soccer. It's interesting. You didn't bring up the. Is it Musiala?
Yeah.
That goal, claiming the title in the 90th minute
for Bayern.
Yeah.
Well, there was a lot of crazy stuff over the weekend.
I mean, that was a pretty big. That was a pretty big deal.
It was. Dortmund, so in the German league, Borussia Dortmund, where Erling Haaland used to play, where Jude Bellingham currently plays, and he's going to be out of there after this year. All they needed to win was their final game, and they were huge favorites at home, and they lost 2-0 to some schlub club, and it would have been their first German title in years, and they blew it. I don't think Bellingham played either. I think he was a little bit hurt. But the final days, I mean, footy is just a beautiful It's a beautiful the way that the game is put together. There's always drama. So on Sunday, it was the season starts and ends. They all play on the final day of the year. They all play at the exact same time, so that you don't know the results, and it's all happening at the same time. It was Everton and Leicester. Leicester at one point scored to take the lead and leapfrogged Everton, and Everton would have gotten relegated. Historic, massively historic club would have got relegated. Then they scored in like the 64th minute to go back up. And like this is the final day. And you're talking about promotion relegation of $200 million TV contract and playing an entire year in this pretty much the JV league. So a lot of drama. Massive amounts of drama.
Speaking of like real quick, I know we're gonna pick this. Alpine at Monaco. I know I told you guys about it.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, that's a story for the ages, man. Like to win at a big race for a team that never podiums, like podiums once a year. Alpine for life. Love it.
That's great.
Great story. Good play of the week this week. I thought there were some interesting ones. Lou, do you have a preference here?
Do I have a preference? Can we go back?
I've got mine.
Yeah, I think it's. I think it has to be Victor, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm picking.
The
Even though we
self-play.
just
It's
said
the
it was
self-play.
Yeah. Lined.
Yeah, I'm cool.
Close.
Yeah.
I want to do something real quick. I want to just give you a little bit on Victor. Let's see. So you guys can get a little.
Ty, just to be clear, he stole one. I would have picked Wembanyama.
You would have? I thought you
I
were saying you picked Victor.
They're both Victor.
Oh, that was the Victor that you're mentioning.
Yeah.
Wait, so which one did we go with? I'm confused.
I think Tyler was assuming soccer because they were named Victor. I would have picked the Victor Wembanyama one.
I was picking the Wembanyama one.
Oh, so Tyler, you're out.
I thought I'm out.
Yeah, I was picking the Wembanyama one. I wasn't picking the soccer one.
Yeah, we're not going to let Tyler just bully us into picking a soccer card. No way.
Well, he thought it was because they were named Victor that we were going that one.
Yeah, I see the mix up. I see how we got there.
Yeah, no, to me,
but it is Wemby.
Jay, pull that back up. I'm
Wembo.
picking Wembo as he called it. I'm picking the Wembanyama one. I think that's the better play. Seeing the magazines, checking the comps, grading them, taking the chance there, pulling some solid grades, getting out of all of them. I like that. I like that play. I'm taking the Wembanyama play for sure. I don't know the guy's name. Jay didn't pull it back up, but that's what I'm taking. He got it. Shout out to Jay.
I'm upset.
Not this.
The other Victor, 24 years old, of Nigerian descent, was purchased by Napoli for a club record fee of $70 million in 2020. He won the Serie A Best Young Player Award in 21-22, highest goal-scoring African in the Serie A, and currently holds the record for the most goals scored by an African in a single season. There's a little background on him. And that's what we got.
Yeah, Tanner Flips with the winner.
I got swerved there. I didn't realize that. But that's that. That was a good episode. Good way to start the week.
Wait. We got it. It's a big release week, so we got to talk about latest launch because there's some big products this week. I was pulling it up while you guys were talking. There's some good stuff this week. So a fun one to start. Out with. Leaf Pearl Multisport is a big one. This is one that's been talked about for a while from Leaf, but it's got some cool stuff on the sell sheet here, like quad autos of Lewandowski, Messi, Holland, Ronaldo, like cut autos, some big time stuff here, like a dual button of Mantle and someone else for the Yankees, like cuts, like all sorts of crazy stuff. So looks like a really high end product from Leaf. I think it's over $2,000 a box, if I'm not mistaken. I don't currently see a price, but that should be a pretty big release. Then you've got some other really good stuff like Impeccable Basketball. It's a pretty high end break that drops this week. Typically like 8 cards a box, $2,000 a box for 8 cards, like high risk, high reward stuff. Then you've got Donruss Optic Football, one of the premium sets in footballs coming out. Pickett, Purdy, Kenneth Walker, Olave, Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, a lot of those guys. Topps NBL Basketball, Marvel Allure from Upper Deck. And then Bowman Chrome University basketball and Donruss baseball. Don't want to skip over the Chrome basketball because that will be big because that will have Caitlin Clark and Victor Wembanyama. Bowman Chrome autos, so really their first Chrome ones. It's going to be interesting to see if he's a redemption in that as well. There's mock-ups of those cards all over the internet. So it's going to be interesting to see, will we get an actual on-card auto? You saw Michael Rubin tweeted about it a long time ago. We talked about it live on the show when it happened about the first card I ever signed. He had the picture up and was sitting next to Rubin. We're going to get that product in here. That will be a big chase.
Hopefully they did the full signing that day.
So I think that will be a fun one. But yeah, pretty big release week. So a lot of different stuff coming out. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, should be good.
Cool.
Coolio.
Another good long episode.
Thank you guys. Good seeing you.
Shout out to those of you that made it this far. That's all I got.
Peace and love.
See you guys next week.
Peace.